Thank you. And so then it's over to, the competitive achiever with 8 years of experience with the LMI. She's been honored with 17 different awards already, from sales representation, motivator, facilitator, world client of the year awards, and Naomi Basson.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Greg, I am the competitive achiever, and my first goal when my first conference was to be on stage, and I've achieved that goal. And subsequently, there was goals every year to be on stage. But it actually, if you look at the bigger picture, my life purpose is to make a difference in the lives of people I get in touch with, and that puts me on stage. I think that's what it is. And my biggest thing, Kev, is I had a goal to have an SMI, a FMI, and an LMI client on stage, World Client of the Year, and I've achieved all three of those. Coca was on, Coca-Cola was on, and Savannah was on. So, one needs to continuously grow and set new goals. But I think that what inspires me is when I work with amazing people, and I want to introduce the commercial director of Coca-Cola Peninsula Beverages, John Joubert, to join us. I'm going to show the pic of him and his team at one of our Champions Breakfasts. John, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to give you the floor to have a conversation as what makes, how do we get corporate business to be bubbly? And I love the title. I told you, bubbly is my favorite drink. And when we had to set a name for the segment, bubbly came up. So, and it's quite appropriate for Coca-Cola. You got the stage.
Morning, Naomi. Morning, everybody. So brilliant to be sitting here listening to these wonderful people and being inspired by all of them and their successes. I'm really fortunate. I don't have to come to a conference to be inspired because I have the privilege of working with Jaco Nel every day. And he's somebody that really, really has embraced LMI over many years, and it was so appropriate for him to travel to Italy in 2016 to receive the World Client of the Year award on our behalf. He has been a great driver of personal empowerment and development, and has been a great change agent in our organization in developing leadership in a whole lot of different areas of the business. And it's fascinating. I had the privilege of spending some time with you just yesterday, Naomi, as we go through an Enneagram feedback session and listening to where Jaco fits into that role of adaptive peacemaker. And he's had to come out of that role and perform a very different role in developing people. And that's a fantastic photograph that you have up on the screen. Bloberg in the background, the beautiful Table Mountain, and that was one of our groups of people that had graduated on one of the programs. We've been so privileged to take a whole big host of our team members through various programs run by LMI, and I am never surprised at the unbelievable transformation of people and then the teams that they are part of as a result of the LMI interventions. And there's so many great examples of where people as individuals have just completely transformed themselves, and then the impact that has on the teams with which they're part of is just been totally incredible. I thought Sean summarized what the various programs actually do from a people development point of view, and it's so fantastic to see it live in our business. It's bubbly as to your title of this particular part, and it's no secret that we do sell carbonated soft drinks, so bubbles are something that we're pretty proud of. I've been inspired by many people just listening to Beverly and her journey, and in particular Savannah as a young leader. I happened to be at her graduation, in fact, and just listening to her, I still regret the fact that I didn't send my 18-year-old son on one of those youth programs. I've done my best to share some of this incredible content with him over the years, and he's sitting. I'm actually at home today nursing him because he had his 4 wisdom teeth out yesterday, so you can imagine how painful that is. And my 16-year-old daughter is actually in surgery right now with another dental intervention, so it seems like that's our season at the moment. But I think the whole concept of inspiring people to be change agents, and then to encourage people to take ownership of their own leadership development is what we've been able to achieve with these various interventions over the years. And it's been incredibly uplifting for me. I did effective personal leadership 3 years ago at the ripe old age of 55, and to have the privilege of being able to share my dream board with my colleagues, and I've shared it very broadly through the organization. And having only done that at the age of 55 shows you that you can be a Savannah in grade 10 or a seasoned commercial director at age 55. And the level of inspiration that your programs are able to bring to us, doesn't matter where you are on your journey. It's a fantastic opportunity to embrace the tools that the different programs offer. I think we've had close to 200 people now go through various programs that LMI offers. And I am totally amazed to witness the growth of individuals on a daily basis. It inspires me beyond words to see how people embrace it, first of all, and then use it to change the way they show up at work, but more importantly, to change the way that they show up with their colleagues at work and inspire people to continue to develop, which is absolutely incredible. We've had many years of great interventions, and I think that whole thing about, you know, creating leaders that are able to bring bubbles to our success is something that I witness every day. We've been speaking about the impact of COVID and how that potentially could have had a far more damaging impact on our business, and it didn't. And I think the reason why it didn't is that we've had a culture of can-do, of supporting each other through no matter what curveballs are thrown our way, and we've had many along our journey. Go back to 2008, we had a severe shortage of CO2. And talking about bubbles, you don't put bubbles in cool drink without CO2, and we managed to get through that crisis. We had the energy crisis in this country, which meant that we had to invest in our own self-generation ability, which we did, and got through many a black hour in our business. We had day zero not so long ago, which meant we had to reinvent ourselves and how we were able to extract water and help to the province to survive that whole crisis. And then we've had COVID, which has in many ways impacted very many people's way of doing business. Yet we were able to stick together through the leadership that we have in order to overcome all of the implications of COVID-19 and to have a relatively successful financial year in 2020. We actually performed better in 2020 than we did in 2019, which is remarkable in itself. We navigated around the sugar tax and the implication of that on the carbonated soft drink industry, and reinvented ourselves in many ways in order to get around that. So bubbles continue to float to the top. When you open a cool drink bottle, the bubbles float up to the top of the bottle, and same with when you enjoy your glass of champagne, Naomi, you'll notice the bubbles are always going up. And I think what we've been able to do through the LMI interventions is identify individuals who are clearly future leaders, unlock that potential through the various interventions, and those individuals that have been on the LMI programs continue just to float to the top of the organization. And the nice thing is they pull other people along with them, and it's just so fantastic to be able to watch that happen in an organization like that. So really privileged to have been part of and have been able to encourage and facilitate many interventions where I've seen individuals grow like you can't believe. And I've actually witnessed certain teams that were completely toxic at a stage in their existence, and then through interventions that we've done with LMI and Naomi in particular, you and your intervention has been incredible. I've seen teams go from completely toxic to completely enduring. And if you've stood back and said you could see this team from where they are to where they're going to be, I'm not sure too many people would have thought that it could happen, but I've witnessed it happen in a remarkable way. And So encouraged by seeing that in various places and organizations. So yeah, I'm full of bubbles, and very, very proud of what we've been able to do from a personal development angle as well. I've seen many of our team members completely transform their own way of showing up, and that's on a personal note, which then obviously impacts the work environment as well. So thank you, LMI, and all the fantastic examples that we've been able to hear today. And I have no doubt that for many years to come, the impact of those leadership development programs are going to be very powerful within our organization.
Yeah, you know what, John, I always, I mean, I've got such a nice relationship with you and your team and the business, and I almost say, I often say to the people in the passages, I just need an office there because I spend so much of my time up there with you guys. How do you think that the LMI interventions had impact on your culture? Because you have a very specific culture. How do we fit in with your culture and what we deliver to your staff?
We do have a fantastic culture. We're on a journey to achieve an integrated and enduring culture in our organization, and that cannot happen unless the individuals are able to unlock their own personal leadership development. So I think LMI fits our organization like a glove on a hand, in that it enables people to embrace the culture and to grow and develop. Various speakers this morning have spoken about personal development, and that whole aspect of empowering and developing people, that you can't force that on an individual. So I'm a very strong believer that the LMI interventions have unlocked that personal empowerment and development that has allowed people then to flourish in their roles as leaders. And I think Greg mentioned that everybody in an organization is a leader, and I totally get that, and I totally believe it. I am absolutely blown away when I have personal interactions with people at every level in our organization, and to actually to really see the leadership in people, no matter what role they play, is very inspiring. So I think the LMI interventions most certainly are a big conduit to unlocking that personal leadership, and then that fits in perfectly in terms of our culture at Coca Peninsula Beverages.
And there's so many different divisions within your business as well. But I mean, I've been working with the consumer commercial team for many years, and this year, the beginning of the year, we sat and we looked at all the people in the division, and we're like, oh my word, every single one of them, or mostly all of them, has been through our hands in some form of way, and that they're being promoted and more senior positions. And being who I am, I always sit with John and I say that's all our doing. It's, if they weren't with us, they wouldn't have been there today. You know, they're winning because they've been on LMI. But seriously, John, I mean, you just had your culture survey done, and they measure Entropy. And yesterday we had the conversation that your division's Entropy is the lowest in the company. Does LMI play a role in that?
I most certainly believe so. I think a big part of what we've achieved over the years working with you, Naomi, has been to create that environment of openness and vulnerability. So I'm always amazed. You know, I start every single meeting that I'm in with a touch base of the team members, and it's a way of encouraging and supporting that process of people being able to be open and vulnerable and transparent from a personal point of view and from a work environment. And I think that ability to speak openly and transparently about anything work-related or personal is a massive way of creating a very enduring culture within commercial. So we measure ourselves through that culture values assessment, the Barrett system. And just to put in perspective, the company average is 55, which is fantastic. But commercials averages at 79, which is remarkable, and it does demonstrate the fact that we are able to work very closely and very openly together to unlock that leadership amongst ourselves.
Thank you.
And you guys are talking about entropy.
Yes.
Is that a negative discourse that could take place in an organization at any point in time?
Yes, so you want to make sure that you do everything possible to have the lowest entropy score that is feasible. And it hasn't just happened, Greg. We've very consciously and deliberately working with various service providers, looked at the entropy scores across the business, and each individual function would then focus on how do we minimize those entropy scores, remove negative words that may come out of that culture value survey. Some of them are very difficult to overcome. So yesterday, I'm just chatting briefly about a word like fairness, because fairness would often be interpreted very differently by different people, and fairness isn't necessarily also always a negative entropy score, because it's just about interpretation. So somebody is aspiring to get that particular promotion and they don't, their interpretation, maybe it was unfair, but maybe in the broader scheme of things for the organization as a whole, it was fair because the right person eventually got that position. So I think that's something that we do work on very, very closely on an ongoing basis. And I really must salute our culture people development department under Bryn Morse's leadership in terms of being the driving force behind that culture value journey, and taking us from where we were, which was, we were never in a very bad place, but we most certainly weren't an enduring organization. And on this journey, I think the entire team at CCPB, which is 1,350 people, are all on the same journey to create the most enduring possible culture that we can have as an organization across every single level within the business. And the various managing directors that we've had over the years, from Steve McLeod to Greg Lewis and now to Andre Clutie, are at the forefront of that journey of a culture values journey that is remarkable to see. And they've unlocked the ability from the MD all the way down to somebody maybe cleaning the building to go on that journey, which is a hugely humbling experience to witness, as you see people at every level buying into the process. It's a fantastic journey to be on.
So John, can I ask another question? I mean, is that right?
Yeah.
The bubbliness of your business takes in the experience economy, there's two experiences, customer experiences. There's a person who drinks the bubbly fluid, but there's also the actual retailer. And they really get their experience from the merchandising team, don't they? The marketing and merchandising team.
Yeah, so the sales guys, the delivery teams, the merchandising teams, they would all have that direct interaction with the retailers. And we've just recently done our customer satisfaction survey, and we come out right at the top. There's always room for improvement. So part of our culture is embedded in our values, which are people are number one. Let's make it a fact. So fairness, accountability, continuous improvement, and teamwork. So a big thing that we're always very, very aware of and work on very diligently is that concept of continuous improvement. So no matter how good we may be, based on any survey that's done or our own personal interaction with customers and reflecting on our service, we want to get better and better and better. So we're on a massive digital journey at the moment, Greg. We believe we do service our customers incredibly well, but we're in the process of developing a B2B platform, which will enable our customers to interact with us on an omni-channel basis. So that's just one of the examples of where we on that journey of continuous improvement. And I saw Christina was on the call earlier. She's a big part of that change in our business, and very much a great driver of our sales process or commercial process in the background. I see in the photograph there, I can see Nathan Hugh, who's also in the process of being appointed into a role of customer process manager, where he's working directly with our big retailers in unlocking efficiency at a supply chain point of view, and doing incredible work on the electronic data interface and the digital ordering processes that take place. So he's unlocking service and satisfaction with our customers that we weren't even talking about 2 years ago. So some fantastic work being done in creating that bubble with our customers on an ongoing basis. And Greg, you asked a very important question. The customer is central to everything that we do. So we want to be known as a truly customer-centric organization. And COVID was a big test in that regard, because there were times during lockdown that we weren't able to go into our customers' retail outlets. And I have some amazing stories. I see Kashif on the far left-hand side there, who's a team lead in our top engrosser team. But he'd tell you stories of people, of his team members sitting in their motor cars in the parking lot of the retailer's outlets, talking to the retailer, the manager, or the buying manager, and taking the order. So not physically being in the store, but still making the effort to be in close proximity and being able to have those conversations. There were times where our merchandising teams weren't able to enter into outlets, which made it very difficult to keep our standards up. But despite all of that, we work very closely with our customers to ensure that we're able to service them to the best of our ability, no matter what level of lockdown we were experiencing at any particular time. So innovation, agility, and leadership would be the three words for me that have allowed us to continue to service our customers as well as we have.
Okay, so another very, very pointed question. When your team who have that interface with the client are bubbly, to what extent does having personal goals as well as business goals contribute to that?
I think that you can't separate the two. I think people's personal goals would include things like work-life balance, happiness, providing for their families. I don't believe you can be fully effective at work unless you are very happy at home. The two are linked completely. And I think people's personal goals, whether that personal goal may be of their own career development or financial success, are always going to be linked to their work goals, because the one is a conduit to the other one. So I think the two go hand in hand, Greg. And I think myself witnessing a number of our team members, presenting their dream boards has been one of my most uplifting and humbling experiences, listening to people present their dream boards. And my take would be that 70% of what they present is from a personal development point of view rather than a work development point of view. And I think that just answers your question, that there's a bigger benefit in pursuing your personal dreams rather than work ones. And if you achieve your personal ones, I think your ability to perform well at work, whether it be with your relationship with your retailer or just in your team environment, is very important.
So when I spoke earlier about those stretch goals and how important they are in energizing people, it's the personal stretch goals that really energize people. And thanks, Naomi. I've sort of chipped in a bit here, but back to you.
Greg, so I do have one question. Sorry, Naomi. One of the questions that are coming up is with the toxic team that you mentioned, John. You shared with us that you noticed something about your toxic team and had an intervention with them. One of the questions are: is there a specific program? Or what is that intervention that you sort of took the teams through?
I mean, various teams have gone through many of the programs, whether it's Grandmasters of Success, effective leadership development, effective personal leadership development, motivational leadership, effective communication, and attitude is everything. And that particular team that you mentioned, many of those team members would probably have gone on multiple programs. I think the thing that really unlocked it at the end was to get people to actually express their vulnerability as a team and be able to talk to each other about the things that were toxic in their environments. And once they started to be able to unlock those things and talk about them, there was a very fast realization that we needed to overcome those things in order to gel meaningfully as a team to become an effective unit. And I am amazed as to how effective that particular team is now. And under the leadership of Ricardo Bergstedt, they are doing some fantastic stuff as the top engrosser team. And that's Ricky there that you're pointing at, and there are a number of his team members in that photograph as well. Kashi from the far left-hand side. And I must give credit to Terence Tishard, who also played a big role in supporting that development process. And it was about unlocking the leadership of Ricky and the other team members, so Marvin and Kashi as team leaders, and the team collectively just started working in a very transparent, vulnerable way, and gelled as a very effective unit now.
So John, what leadership tools have you developed over the years that separates you from being a manager into an amazing leader?
Pressure.
Because you are an amazing leader. Let's just call a fact a fact.
Well, thank you for that. That's most humbling to hear, especially coming from you. I haven't been on any stages around the world receiving these type of prizes, so I'll take it from one of the prize receivers. I do appreciate that. I think I've been blessed to have had good leaders lead me in the past, and there was a point in my career where the MD at the time literally called me in and said, "Look, we're changing some structures here, but John, you're not going to be able to do this role of commercial director unless you change." That's how direct he was with me. And there were certain toxic behaviors that I would use as a manager as opposed to being a leader. I guess the biggest thing was to create a skill of listening to my colleagues and to my leaders, and to be prepared to be vulnerable and accept that there were many areas of my management style that wasn't showing up as a leader. And I think from the time that I was prepared to accept that I had a lot of work to do on my own personal leadership, with the help of many interventions that I've been through. I had a coach that helped me, and I think just listening and participating in a lot of the LMI interventions, not necessarily directly, but indirectly, seeing the change that people were able to bring upon themselves was inspiring to me as an individual, and really made me realize that I wanted to turn up as a very different leader in our organization. And I'm also on that continuous improvement journey. I must certainly still have my blind spots and need to be very conscious of how I turn up at work. We've just been going through the Enneagram process, Naomi, which is a humbling process as well, because it makes you really understand who you are as an individual and where your blind spots are. And if you're conscious of those things, it allows you to catch yourself and to turn up as a leader in a very different way. So I most certainly am not perfect, and I most certainly still do slip back into some dark ways every now and then. But I think the most important thing for a leader is to be conscious of who you are and who your team members are, and work in ways that is inspiring to them as individuals. And then I'm really privileged. I'm surrounded by a remarkable bunch of people that inspire me to be a better leader every single day, and lots of them are in that photograph there. But we have an amazing amount of brilliant people that inspire me every single day. I go to work every day. I'm at home today because my son's just had his op, but and I was thinking about, I could do my work from home very easily, or from a coffee shop, or from the top of the mountain, or from wherever. But I choose to go to work because I need the inspiration from those wonderful people that help me develop every day. I feed off them, and they teach me something new every single day. So I'm inspired by other people's leadership, and I like to believe my big change was to create an openness to learn from other people, and to be vulnerable, and to accept that I had shortcomings and I needed to work on them.
John, I say thank you very much for joining us. I see there's a whole lot of your staff on the session watching you. They were very excited to have you on the stage to just listen to you. You are an amazing leader, and I couldn't have chosen a better person to join us today. Thank you very much. Thank you for what you do for LMI and your business. Thank you for your continuous support and your belief in our system. And looking forward to working with you and your team and the rest of the organization in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Naomi, and just to all of my team members that may be on the call, I really thank you for everything you do for me every day. And to the LMI team, your programs are inspirational. We will benefit from all of those interventions for generations to come, because you're developing leaders that will lead other people. So thanks very much, Naomi. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.